guys, it's your boy Luke here for our round 2 prize picks targets for this week's Arnold Palmer Invitational. Round 1 was a huge success here on the channel. We went 4 for 5 with our picks yesterday, ended up hitting for 2x value, but boy, were we close to that 12.5x hit. Our only miss ended up being Ricky Fowler under 9 fairways, where he ended up hitting 10 and honestly hit 6 of his first 7. I thought we were completely dead, but it did come down to the last 2 holes where he had to hit both fairways to hit the over and ended up getting us right there at the end. So we gave it a good run, ended up hitting the over on Corey Connors greens and regulation, same thing with Will Zalatoris and Sunjay M. And the other under that we hit was Tommy Fleetwood under 9 fairways. He also made it a little bit close at the end. He also had a fairway, quote unquote fairway on 12 that they counted, which really looked like a missed fairway on the shot link, but either way didn't end up screwing us, and we can't complain about getting a profitable day. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into our targets for Friday's round. All right, the first thing we're going to touch on is going to be the weather for tomorrow. As always with golf, weather conditions are going to be a vital part of our process, and particularly for tomorrow when there is a huge split between the morning and the afternoon. In the morning, right around 7 a.m. when they're teeing off, essentially not a breath of wind. It's 1 mile an hour, 2 mile an hour there towards 8 a.m. It tends to last the whole way until 10, 11 a.m., but then it starts to kick up. You get 8 to 9 miles an hour right around midday, kicking up all the way up to 12 miles an hour throughout the end of the round, which might not seem like all that much, but these are sustained wind numbers. That means that the wind gusts are going to be in the 15 to 25 mile an hour range, which is a huge difference from what they saw today, where they had 2 to 3 miles an hour wind at the very most for essentially the entire day. Even with easy conditions, this course had some teeth. It still played well over par to a scoring average of plus 2.9. If you go over here to the split by wave, look at the morning and the afternoon wave, it did also get more difficult in the afternoon. Usually that's a byproduct of the greens getting more firm, more fast. Balls tend to roll out more. It's harder to apply spin to the golf ball. So as a result, you see some higher scores, right? You can't get it as close to the pin. I would expect that similar effect tomorrow, but of course with this wind in play, where it does kick up in the afternoon, you're also going to see that exacerbated even more. Another thing I want to take a look at, and very specifically here, we're going to focus on hole number 12 because all of the props I'm targeting are going to be for 12. It's a par 5. Yesterday's hole for the par 5 was 16, and it was a huge success. I mean, a ton of people out there in the industry just hammered that line, myself included. I actually had 5 props that I put in for the afternoon wave and ended up making over $500 just on hole 16 alone. So I'm sure a lot of you out there also did the same. Unfortunately, we don't have the same hole, so it's going to be a little bit of a tougher over. It also means that we're going to be mixing in it's a tougher under, but it also means we're going to be mixing in some of the overs for this hole, particularly for the guys that are going to be playing in those tough conditions in the afternoon. This pin location's relatively accessible. In fact, for a par 5, you would hope that it's going to be a back hole location, particularly for some of these bombers that are looking to get on this green and run a ball towards the back portion of this green and perhaps make an eagle. So for guys like a Jon Rahm, we'll get to the targets here in a second, that have the firepower to get there, particularly those that are playing in the morning, going to be huge targets for us. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the props for hole number 12 that we'll be targeting for tomorrow. And first off, let's start with the unders. We have Sam Burns, Jon Rahm, and Viktor Hovland. Burns and Rahm are playing in the same group, going off at 8:47 a.m. Viktor Hovland's going off a little bit earlier at 8:25. That tee time is a huge factor here. That means that when they get to hole number 12, which they're starting on the back 9, that's also something that's very important to note here. It's going to be their 3rd hole of the day. They're going to likely be there by 9:30, maybe 10 at the very latest, and that means that wind is still going to be down. For these guys that are looking to get there in 2 on this 565-yard hole, any wind that isn't there is going to be a huge factor. So I like going to these bombers. They all fit that type of build. Sam Burns, Jon Rahm, Viktor Hovland, all extremely stout off the tee. Also all extremely good with their long irons. And when they're playing their best golf, they also sink plenty of putts. So I see all 3 of them getting up to that green in 2 because they'll be at that hole very early in the day when there's not going to be a ton of wind. And because they'll be getting to that hole at right around 9:30, 10 a.m. as well, a lot of that dew and dampness on the golf course is also going to be evaporated. That means that their drive is going to get a little bit of extra rollout. Same thing with their shot up to the green. It's not going to be nearly as difficult to reach the green as if they were there at 7:30 a.m. It was still a little bit dark outside. You still had a lot of that dew on the ground. actually makes those par fives a little bit more difficult. Now on the flip side, we are taking 2 overs. Those are going to be Adam Scott and Kevin Kisner. Adam Scott, typically not a shorter hitter on tour, but tomorrow that's going to be the case. He doesn't have a driver in the bag. If you guys were watching the broadcast today, you probably heard it 5 or 6 times, but he's going with the 2-wood, no driver in the bag. That cost him quite a few shots yesterday. Believe it or not, his 4-under round could have been much better. The ball striking was certainly there. He was very accurate off the tee, but on par 5s, he couldn't go for them in 2. He also had a lot of struggle when he hit it in the rough on some of these par 4s. And on a very long par 5, I don't see him getting there in 2, particularly because he's teeing off in the afternoon, much like Kevin Kisner, which we'll talk about here in a second, and he's going to be playing into the wind. It's going to be very tough for him to reach there. In the afternoon, we're looking at much tougher conditions, also with the greens being firmer and faster. So it's no diss against Adam Scott. I just don't think he doesn't make birdie on this hole. All right, hopping back in, we actually had a little bit of a technical difficulty. It looks like the Kevin Kisner line I was about to talk up got taken off the board as we were recording this video. I did get my own prop card in. I do have the Kevin Kisner over here on hole 12, but a good substitute also going to be Justin Rose, somebody teeing off towards the end of the afternoon wave there at 2:14 p.m. And much like a Kevin Kisner, doesn't have all that much pop in the bat at this point. He's also somebody who had a really shaky round 1. I don't see him coming in with the greatest of form, and even though he does have decent long iron play, that's pretty much the only thing he has going for him at this point. So somebody I'd be willing to take the over on. Again, sorry about the Kevin Kisner prop, guys. It was up just 5 minutes ago, but it seems as if they took it down, and those are definitely the props that I'm looking to target here for round 2. That's all I've got for the round 2 picks. Before you go on and get out of here, make sure you let me know down in the comments what your favorite prop on the board is, whether it's one of these hole 12 props that we covered here in the video or something completely off my radar. Would love to hear from you guys down below. And as always, going to have even more Prize Picks content dropping throughout the rest of the weekend. Look for a similar video dropping right around 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night for Saturday slate, and of course the same thing for Sunday. If you're looking for even more PGA content, whether it's for DFS, course breakdowns, or of course these Prize Picks breakdowns that you see right here, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of that to come. Best of luck for all of your lineups tomorrow. Let's go ahead and cash yet another profitable day.